Hey, it's good to see you again. Well, we got another fun painting plan today, so if you want, go ahead and get your watercolor paints out, or else grab yourself a cool drink and kick back, because we got a lot to do today. Well, maybe not as much as sometimes, but we still got a fair amount of things we can try out today. While I'm getting started here and while I'm working, all the names of the colors are going to be flashing across the screen so you can get an idea of what I'm working with. I'm working on a piece of 140-pound paper. That just means that it's kind of a medium grade paper. It's not too light, it's not too heavy. When you hear a paper weight, it just means the weight of the roll that the paper came from. Okay, so whenever we begin a painting, we should always think about the sky, at least if we're painting a landscape. Ooh, that's interesting. That's got a little bit of paint on it, doesn't it? That's good. No, I didn't even wet the brush yet. It's already getting paint on stuff. Oh boy. Oh, that's silly, isn't it? Yeah, well, let's clean that brush off and we'll be good. We'll be good to go. Okay. You know me. What I like to do with flat brushes, and I have flat brushes here that are made with synthetic hairs. I have round brushes that are made with natural hairs, sable hairs. And those are a little bit better for holding lots of paint and lots of water and stuff. So why don't we, tell you what, I'm going to get out my big brush, my big round, for the sky portion. And I want to clean off my palette a little bit because we got some greens on here we're not really going to need today. Because we're painting a baseball field. Specifically, we're painting the Field of Dreams. And, well, I was out here visiting this place one day and I saw a team out there practicing. It wasn't really so much a team as it was just a handful of guys from the same team who were kind of just out there doing their thing. I don't know what the deal behind it was, but it was interesting to watch them, actually practicing in the field. I guess it's true, if you build it, they will come. And if you paint it, they'll come too. So, naturally, here we are. Let's see if they come after we paint this one. Okay. I kind of low-key wish I could have gotten a guy walking through the cornfields in the back. Oh, that would have been delightful. But it was not meant to be. Unfortunately, real life is very frequently not like the movies. Real life tends to be a little weirder. A lot of strange plot lines and twists happen in real life. But you learn to live with it. And you move on the best you can. Okay, we got things cleaned off now. Now our palette is a little bit better. Some people don't like to clean their palettes. I kind of like to clean my palette. Okay, let's get ourselves a little bit of phthalo blue and quinacridone magenta on this one, because I don't want a sky that's real greenish. I want more of a middle blue color. And skies, they don't really have a lot in terms of like granular texture and stuff. Granular texture is more for things like wood and sand and all that business. When we paint with our watercolors, there's different kinds of colors that have different kinds of textures. And texture is one of those things that you really have to pay attention to in watercolor, because the pigment texture of the color is more readily apparent than it is in other mediums. Like in oil painting, you don't see the texture of the pigment really. And you don't really see that in acrylic either. But in watercolor, since the pigment is in a very loose binder, I guess is the best way to describe it here. It's in a binder that kind of disperses the pigment. So the pigment is more displayed than it would be otherwise. So you see the actual pigment at work along with all the other things that they add to it. There's a lot of things that go into watercolor paint, but watercolor paint is a little bit unique in that you actually do get to see the behavior of the pigment. It's very interesting like that. It's probably one of the most attractive parts about this medium is that you get to see so much from the colors that you just don't get to see in other mediums. Maybe the only other medium that you really get to see that sort of thing, it would probably be gouache. But gouache is just opaque watercolor versus this is transparent watercolor. And you can mix gouache paints and watercolor paints pretty much interchangeably. It doesn't matter. It all depends what you want. Okay, so we got this. Ooh, that's a little dry. Here, let's go ahead and throw a little bit of this in. We don't care if we get blooms on this, all right? If we get blooms on this, it's all good. This paper is really absorbent. This paper is so absorbent. Makes it a real challenge to paint on sometimes because you want the paper to be relatively wet when you do sky washes like this. And what we do is we lay down the wash and then we go in with our color later. And then, come on, there it goes. It's already absorbing all this water. Like all the water is just going right down. And we paint this picture vertically like this. I do this so that you can have a better view of what I'm doing. This isn't just how I normally do things. Like I wouldn't normally angle my paper completely upward like this, the paper on this pad. I'm painting on a watercolor pad. We should go ahead and get some tissues ready. I'm using a roll of very cheap toilet paper. Now, this roll of cheap toilet paper is nothing really to write home about or anything like that. It's just a roll of industrial office grade toilet paper that you can pick up at any hardware store really. It's the cheap stuff you see at in the stalls, probably at work or at the store or wherever you go to. You know, any place where it'd be particularly egregious to offer the good stuff. This is the stuff they put out in the roll when they want you to get out of there. They don't want you doing your business here. That's the reality of it. All right. So now we finally got this ready. We got this. This paper is very absorbent, the stuff I'm working on. I had to get a different paper than I usually like to use because a lot of the paper makers right now are shut down due to the COVID-19 business. So that's just my cross the bear, but a little FYI here. Sometimes you got to make do with what you can get, okay? And you want to be very careful because at the bottom here there's that little roll of paint, okay? So if you get too much, you can go in and do that. Now, I want to keep a lot of what I've done up here, so I'm just going to go in and you know what I'm going to do? Yeah. Just go in and maybe we'll remove some stuff like this and we can do it that way. There it goes. Yeah. Maybe up here there's a little bit coming out. Yeah. This is a quick and easy way to do a sky. You can play around with colors and stuff, and maybe you have more time to do this than I do, but I gotta be really quick because I only have a short time that I can spend with you today. I can't sit here for hours and hours just painting and painting. I have to get going eventually because I gotta go eat and I gotta go do my other things and I gotta go be me. That's just about the long and short of it right there. Gotta go about the business of being me. Okay. Well, what the other side of this post here? That's a post where they put the lights for the field. All right. That's what that is, in case you're wondering. And then we'll just paint this whole thing here. Let it drip down a little bit. Okay. And if you cover up a little bit of whatever you've done, it's okay. Hey, it's okay. Okay. Now what we're gonna do? We're gonna do the same thing we already did. We're gonna just dab and try to match any cloud shapes with this other side that you're working on. So, yeah, like that. Maybe you want to go over here and remove a little something else. I don't know. That's just an interesting little thing to do. Okay. There it goes. That's better. Okay. And last. I know what we can do. We can go over here. And right about in here, where there's going to be a little bit more sky color coming in, we'll pick out these shapes. And we'll be very careful, because there's not going to be a lot of sky shapes, but on this fence, we'll see enough of them, okay? Now, in between all the areas where there's going to be another light post over at the other side of the field, and there's going to be little mountain shapes in the background, you want to be careful with that. You don't want to cover all that. You just want to paint these little shapes in. Okay, you want to paint these little sky colors like this. Alright? There you go. You don't have to get real complicated. No, we're taking a lot of shortcuts. We take the easy way out. And boy, what do you think these guys are chatting about out here? They're thinking they're gonna play a fast one. This guy over here, they're gonna make like he lost the ball or something. He's gonna pitch the ball, and he's gonna act like the guy ain't throwing any good pitches. So every time he throws a pitch, he calls ball 1, ball 2, and by the time it's over, the poor pitcher's throwing down his mitt going, "What are you talking about, umpire?" Goes over and he's about to throw fists and all that, and he ain't happy. But then they surprise him with a bag of cookies afterward for being such a good sport, and then they all make up and go get some Cracker Jack. That's a lame story. I can come up with one better than that. Just give me a few minutes. Alright, now. Yeah, that's all we got to do right there. We'll just dab that down a little bit, and that's all there is to it. Okay. Now, since the paper is so absorbent, the colors tend to dry really, really fast. It's a blessing and a curse, I guess you could call it. Okay, so let's go ahead and decide what we think some of the shapes yonder are going to look like. Because we got some trees and stuff, and I think we're gonna we're gonna add a little bit of the let's add some Nicolazo yellow and ultramarine on this. I want about even amounts of ultramarine and Nicolazo yellow on it. Okay? Yeah, that's how we're gonna do it. That's how we're gonna do it. And since it's so small, we might need to get our liner brush out. Make sure your brushes are cleaned off before you start painting this stuff, okay? Because if you start painting this stuff and then find out that, oh no, my brushes aren't completely clean, well, you might be in for a bit of surprise once you touch the brush to the paper. Could be a little hectic then. Alright. Oh boy, we're going to have to get a little creative here. Because I don't think ooh. See what I mean? Yeah. If you're not careful, you might wind up with a little spot like that. That's okay. That's okay. Alright. Okay. This is going to be all these little shapes out here that are going to be so small that they're almost imperceptible. There's stuff way off in the distance here. Way off in the distance. It's kind of incredible. Alright, now let's go in with our green color here and see how we do. This is just ultramarine and Nicolazo yellow. That's all there is to it. Okay? That's all there is. Okay? So all these little spots right here, we want to leave enough room for the cornfield. Remember that. Remember that. So don't go and get overzealous and start painting every little thing. This liner brush is going to get itself a good workout this time around. I can feel it already. Okay. Might want to get a little bit more of the ultramarine on this, because we want this to be pretty blue, because stuff in the distance is real blue, isn't it? Yeah, it tends to be real bluish because all the other wavelengths of light get filtered out as you go off in the distance because of pollution and particles and mist and, all that good stuff. All kinds of stuff that obscures our view when we look out real far away. Makes things look so much lighter in color and all that. There we go. Maybe we'll just give it a little dab here. Little love taps. Let's go ahead and get that one just a little more right there. There it goes. Well, that one just doesn't want to stay about the right value. Here. Maybe we'll just leave that one. And it'll cooperate, huh? Yeah. That's about good anyway. Okay. Now let's go ahead and make some more big decisions here. what we want to do. Well, we could color the cornfield. And to do that, we're going to need some nickel azo yellow to make it happen. And I think we're going to stick with that color that we were working with. The ultramarine and the nickel azo yellow, of course. Okay, so we got ourselves a good amount of color there. Good amount of color. All right. This, how's that doing? Ooh, that's a little, ooh, that's still a little wet. So maybe we want to leave that to dry for a second. Maybe we want to. In the meantime, let's go ahead and mix ourselves kind of a steel, well, deciding if I want to do this right here. I don't want to do that yet. What I want to do is all the sand and the dirt right here, because there's a lot of stuff in there that we can work with. So we'll take some quinacridone magenta and nickel azo yellow. All right, we want a little bit more nickel azo yellow on this, just so it looks a little bit more yellowish. If you want, you can get a little bit of the ultramarine in there, and that ultramarine will liven things up a little bit. Okay, let's get all of our brushes out of the way here, so we have lots of space to work with. And we'll take our flat brush and we'll go into this area here, the sandy area. Now there's going to be little patches of grass here that I don't want to paint over quite yet. Alright? And you might have to get this paper a little wetter than you think you do, because some paper is more absorbent than others. One of those rules that you want to remember. Some paper is more absorbent than others. And that can make some paper particularly hard to paint on. Now each brand of paper is a little different. Each brand of paper has its little feel to it. And this paper is much more absorbent than the stuff that I've been using on some of the earlier episodes of this show. But when you have to use a certain brand for whatever reason, then you just make do. Okay. Now we got, well, we're gonna need to, boy, that's gonna be a tough color to pull off. Okay, let's go in here. Okay. Here we go. Okay. There it goes. This is just nickel azo yellow, quinacridone magenta, and a little bit of the ultramarine just to add a little bit of texture. It might not be readily apparent, but sometimes that texture pops through when you least expect it. You might not see it, but then again, you might. Okay, then we're going to very delicately go down this little area right here. Okay? Whew. No stress, right? Oh yeah. Don't kid yourself. A lot of moments in watercolor painting are high stakes situations. There, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Alright. So since we got that painted, let's go ahead now. Let's go ahead and lift this just a little bit. Okay. Now, I don't want this to get too dark, but I don't want to lift everything either. I kind of want to leave a few edges here and there alone. Alright, that's not bad. That's actually looks pretty good. One of the things about this technique is that it allows you to pick up color, but also leave a little bit of color behind. It makes it very useful. And we use staining colors, and that's why we're able to do that. Staining colors just means that the colors get into the paper and they don't want to come up. They stay there. It's like they're scared to leave because it feels so homey. Okay, let's go in here. Okay, if you see, here, let me get my get my liner brush on this. If you see, if your paint starts to streak as you're putting it down, it means your paper is too dry. Okay, that's what that means. It means your paper is too dry. So you might want to put some more water on there, especially if it's a tiny area like this, because it's not going to hurt anything. All right. There. There it goes. Okay, we got that little area right there. Now let's take a little bit off there. Things are already shaping up, I'd say. Now let's take our liner brush and go into this orangey dirt color. Dirt color. Yeah, that's what we're going to call it for right now because it works that way. Alright, we're going to make sure we got a figure right here in the distance that we're trying not to get a bunch of paint on. He's giving us a side eye like, hey, you better be careful where you come at me with that brush. And I'm just, I keep reassuring him, don't worry, I got you, boss. I ain't gonna paint over you. You're good. You just pitch away now. You just do your thing, and I'll do the rest. Sometimes you gotta reassure the subjects while you're painting. They get real nervous when you come at them with the brushes and the colors and all the fun stuff. The fun stuff for you is the stuff of nightmares for them. Because change is scary. Oh dear. I like to have fun when I paint these things. I think of little stories to try to really get into it, and I picture what they must say to themselves and all that. Here, let's go ahead and get this over here. Oops. Now I'm choking up on the brush here, which normally I wouldn't recommend you do, but sometimes choking up on the brush can give you a little bit more control. Now that time I don't know if it did because there, I had to take a little bit of extra paint off of that. Here, let's get this down here. And let's see, there it goes. Down across here. Alright, we got it. Now let's take our... we missed a spot right here. That's why we do this. So we can color it and make sure that we got all the spaces we were supposed to. Now look at that, that's already starting to look a little bit like a baseball diamond, isn't it? Well, it's a good thing because that's exactly what we were going for. Alright, let's take our... See, what'd I tell you? I already got it done, and I hardly got you guys at all. Don't have to worry about nothing. You don't have to threaten me with all, by throwing a baseball at my head, and you don't gotta hit me with the bat and all that, and they don't have to keep giving me the side eye. I got this handled. All right, now let's go ahead. Let's get some nickel hazel yellow with our ultramarine, like I was saying earlier. Okay, because we got a color that we need to get. We got this whole section of cornrows back here that we need to take care of, and we're going to start right about, we're just going to paint the whole thing this one color, then we're going to go over it with another color. This is what we call like the two-tone technique. And what I mean by that is that we just paint one color, then we glaze another color over it. Because we can do that in watercolor. It's actually really easy to pull off. Now every time you got a section, you kind of want to stop because it just makes the painting more manageable that way. So I don't want to go ahead and go into all the fence areas. I want to stop here. And I want to paint this area that I intended to work with. Look at this. You can see the dry marks. Sometimes you miss a spot while you get the section wet, and it's hard to Sometimes unless you're under a certain light, it's hard to see. Okay, now what you can do is you can touch the top of this and let the paint bead up at the bottom. All right. There. So, or you can just touch the bottom like I'm doing, and then things will get a lot darker down there. That's really what we want. We want value to build up at the bottom here. And ask yourself also, where's the light coming from? Well, the light is a little bit overhead, I think. Well, the light is probably coming from slightly overhead, but to the right, because there's going to be some dark spaces over here in some of these objects. All right. So this is going to have a nice dark side on it, so we can go ahead and maybe just increase the value on that. Maybe we can increase the value on this fella right here. Look at that. When you make figures like this, we don't talk about figures a lot on this series, because I don't know that we necessarily paint a lot of figures. But when you do paint figures, you want to simplify them, especially when they're little like this. If you do a big figure, well, it's like I always say, if you want to paint a bunch of things, all these little things, you have to take it easy on the detail. You can't paint lots and lots of details when you've got a subject that's only what, about maybe an inch high. I mean, good luck, right? You wanna paint that, and you wanna paint that, huh? Well, my condolences. That's what I say. No, it's fine. It's really not that big of a deal. You just want to try to leave yourself a little bit of wiggle room. There we go. See, we still got lots of space in here to paint these guys. And there's going to be a light post in here. Now we can paint over these little fence things, because we can paint over the fence here, the wire, because the wire isn't really going to change much. We're just going to paint over that with kind of a dark, transparent glaze color. So it makes it look like there's more of it there than it really is. It's more important that we see everything that's going past the fence. Okay? Now maybe, let's be brave here. Down here, there's going to be a little hint of that cornfield just sneaking past. Alright? Now doesn't that look nice? Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Okay, now let's go in here. Paint this one. Again, don't be afraid to accentuate the values. We're going to go back in with another glaze, but it doesn't hurt to accentuate the values and just let the watercolor do its thing, One of the joys of watercolor is just letting it flow and do what it wants here. Okay, let's go ahead here and... Okay. Now we don't have to keep painting that. We can go ahead now, and because the angle of the fence changes as we go around, right? Right. Since it changes, we can go ahead and do some other stuff. All right. And then we'll go over here. That's the final bit of the cornfield, I believe. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Now we let that dry. In the background, we got some things happening, don't we? Yeah, I guess we kind of do. What we can do, we can just take some plain old ultramarine. And, well, I feel better painting these over here than the ones over... I feel better painting the back, the really background bits over on the other side there than I do the ones that are closest to the left right now, because the left has still got some wet paint on all these bits. Okay, so like I was saying, the light's going to be hitting the right side a little bit. So why don't we do this? Just give these guys here a little bit of encouragement from the left. Help them stand out a little. There it goes. Maybe right here. Uh-oh. Are we too wet? Feel with your fingers. And if it feels cool, that means it's still a little wet. So you want to be very, very careful. But if it's just about dry, and with absorbent papers, it might be dry. Who knows? It might be. Since we're painting kind of fast here, I'm going to go ahead and throw caution in the wind, which I don't know that I would really recommend doing. But sometimes you do what you have to. Okay, now that looks pretty neat, I think. Alright. So now let's come up with a little bit of a color here for the foreground. I think I want... Oh, I'm going to get some more ultramarine in this. But I'm also going to get some quinacridone magenta. Where do I want to get it from? I'll get it from this well. One of the tricks that I use when I'm painting here is I have multiple colors in the same well. So I'll have ultramarine and quinacridone magenta in the same well. Let me show you. See, I've got all kinds of paint on here. I've got two colors in the same well right here. This color right here is quinacridone magenta and ultramarine. So I have those colors in the same well. That makes it a lot easier for me to mix colors when I have two colors in the same well versus rinsing my brush every time I just want to take a single color. Now don't get me wrong, I use a lot of the single colors all by themselves. But this makes it a little easier. Okay. Why don't we take our sponge, and I have a little piece of natural sponge that I've torn off of a bigger piece. Now what we do with this is we just dip this whole thing in paint here, and then we kind of just tap it around. But we don't want to cover up like there. We don't want to cover up the top, you know. So leave the top alone. Alright, then we might come here, this guy, yep. And you know, all these things are going to be going every which way. Okay. Here's where things get a little hairy. Okay. You might want to angle it around so you don't hit the ball player right there. There you go. That way he's happy, you're happy. Everyone walks away with a happy face. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Goodness gracious. I'm going to wait a second to hit the rest of that because this is a high stakes situation. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh yeah. This is why I recommend tearing off the small piece, because it makes it a lot easier to paint all these little things here if we have a small piece versus a big piece that we're trying to maneuver all around. It's a little tough then. No joke. Okay, look at that. All with that little piece of sponge. That's just a natural sponge is what I was using there. It's no big deal at all. Okay, so let's go ahead now and use our imagination and well, I want to paint all this grass here. So let's go ahead and clean off the palette, I think. I'm going to clean off the palette. I don't know about you, but I want to clean off the palette because I want a brighter green right now. Remember that we want to use our bright colors first in watercolor. Sometimes we break the rules a bit and then we go straight to all the darks and everything, but we want to get some bright colors down first. You paint the highlights in watercolor, then you paint the dark colors. Okay? And I'm looking for a color that's got a little bit of yellow in it. It's not got a ton of yellow. It's got some. Alright? Alright, I want to get more color than I think I need. It's one of the big rules of painting in any medium is when you mix a color, you want more than you think you need. More than you think you need. It's going to make it so much easier to work with something because you don't want to go back and try to mix the same color again. You can do it. You can do it. I've done it. I've done it plenty of times, and I think you've probably seen me do it before, but it's so much easier if you just don't do that. I recommend not doing that. Oh, goodness. There it goes. There it goes. Alright, let's go ahead, get our flat brush out, and we'll start with this little section right here. And get some more water on there. Get a lot of water. It's probably going to drip. It's funny how sometimes with this paper, some papers, you know, you get a lot of water on there and it's so absorbent it'll just soak the water right up, just about right on cue, immediately after you put it down. But then, you know, you try to use it and it's a little more difficult than you would think. Okay. All right. So we got this color. This is just phthalo blue, nickel azo yellow. That's all this color is. Okay. Look at that. We already got a little drip right there. Now that's what I call one of the trials and tribulations of painting on an upright surface like this. I don't know that I would necessarily recommend it, because again, I just do this so that you can see what I'm doing. That's the only reason. Okay. Now, maybe. Ooh, is that going to drip? Is that going to drip? I don't know if it is. But here we go. Okay, there we go. Yeah, let's go in and maybe we'll throw a few dark things all about right here. Most of these are probably going to go wherever they want. And that'll dry to a nice yellow-green. It's not going to be very bright. It's not going to be very bright, but we don't necessarily want it to be very bright. I don't want it to be all that bright. It's the same green we're going to use all throughout the rest of the painting here, at least on the baseball diamond. Now, I don't think that the water is going to drip quite as much on this one. Thank goodness for that, right? It's the last thing we really need right now. Okay, so once we got that, we'll just go in here to using our big brush and we'll just kind of scrub it in. There it goes. Whenever you get a chance, I always recommend working wet and wet, because it's really what makes watercolor such a joy to use. A lot of the effects that you'll get are very unexpected, but it is a lot of fun. Here, there's that one, and there's that one. And let's get this one right here. Yeah, okay. Look at that. That's nice, isn't it? Yeah, that's nice. It's always nice when that latches on like that here. Is this one going to latch? Maybe if we tap the bottom like this, we might get a little bit more separation between the foreground and the background, the distance. Okay. I want to go right up to the edge, and if you paint right up to the edge like that, it's probably going to get a little darker, because the color behind it is going to be glazed over a little bit, which is okay. That's okay. Here. There's that. Again, I recommend painting on a flatter surface than this, because this is a bit much. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Well, let's go ahead and pick out a few more of these areas, like this one right here. Right there. Yeah, that's where that one's going to be. Right here. Paint this area. Oh, the boys are excited. They're about to start playing. They didn't think it was going to happen. They thought I was just pulling their leg. They thought I was joking around when I said, "Hey, you guys are going to play tonight." And they said, "Well, we don't even have a field yet." I said, "Well, you will." Show them. There it goes. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Okay, we got ourselves a tough little area right here. We got ourselves a tough area for sure. Okay, let's watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Okay, there it goes. Okay. There. Alright. Now that might be a little wet. It might be a little wet. I want to leave these areas that I painted intact, so I'm not going to fool around with them any. I'm not going to dab at them with my toilet paper. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I try to class it up and call this tissue paper, but it's just toilet paper. That's all it is. That's all it is. Well, sometimes the best tool for the job is an unexpected one. Isn't that the truth? In art, we just use a lot of stuff that, I don't know if you know this, but in art we just use a lot of materials that are kind of left over from other skills and everything, other professions. Like, you know, we got the toilet paper that's used for, well, just everyday use stuff. But then our colors are made with colors that are used in like the automobile industry, and then or the you know, house painting and stuff. And so we're really at the mercy of other industries in terms of what colors we have available to us, because a lot of colors are based on those factors. Sometimes artists have specific colors that aren't really available in other industries. Like, well, I can't think of any right now, but there's probably a few special made ones just for us. But there aren't many. And let's go right here. Okay. Very lightly now. Maximum effort. Okay, we got it. We got it. Good. Yeah, it looks like it's dripping a little bit, so let's go ahead and take some of that up. Okay, good. And we'll go over here, and maybe we'll just... This is one of those moments where we need a lot of concentration to make this happen. You know it's hard when I start hooting like an owl. It's one of those things on the bingo card, you know. Got ourselves a little bingo card on this show where, well, we don't have a real bingo card, but I like to pretend that we all got a bingo card out there and we're playing. We're looking for things that I do every episode. And one of the things I do every episode is I hoot like an owl when I do something particularly hard. Like I get a really tight area like this, or you know, I paint it like someone's portrait or something, and they're real tiny, which we're probably going to do in a little bit here. But yeah, we do a lot of hard stuff sometimes on this show, and it can be challenging. So when I get done with that, I often like to hoot like an owl just to show, oh boy, oh that was tough. Okay. Okay. Oh, look at that. Oh, this is looking mighty nice. Oh boy. I'm actually getting real excited about this one. I better be careful with my point here. This is a big brush, and if you're not careful with handling it, you can kind of take out everything in its path. It holds a lot of paint. It holds a lot of water. It is a very formidable brush. It's a very good brush. I always recommend getting sable hairs if you can, because sable hairs, there ain't nothing like them. Nothing in the world like it. Handles better than any other kind of brush I've ever used. But there are substitutes out there if you're not into that kind of thing. Because I know how it is. A lot of people are worried about animal cruelty and all that. But sometimes you have to make some decisions about what you want. And I like these brushes very, very much. There's nothing else like them. Okay. this fella. There he goes. There. Maybe right about here. There. Yeah, I'm just going over a few things, trying to get the little pieces, bits and pieces to stand out more. There it goes. Alright. Now, let's take a look at and survey everything that we've done so far. I say we're looking pretty good. I think what I want to do is I want to go ahead and whip up a red for these guys right here. And I'm just going to use my liner brush because they're so tiny. They're so tiny. My goodness. My goodness, I'm a little nervous about this color. I'm a little nervous. Oh, I don't know, that one's a little bright. That's a little bright. So why don't we go ahead and with a little bit of let's go in with the nickel azo yellow and the quinacridone magenta, and I'll just get some quinacridone magenta with a little bit of the nickel azo here. Then we'll paint this guy right here. Okay. Paint that red color there, and then the red color up here. Okay, right up there, and there's his red color right here. Okay. This fella's kind of leaning forward, so he's got a red cap that kind of comes back there. His shirt kind of goes down that way. There. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And we're going to use a lighter red. And these benches up here next to the fence. Okay. This is just pyrrole orange and some quinacridone magenta because these guys got to have some place to sit, right? Yeah, we got to give them some place to sit because, you know, they might get tired during a game. Who knows? They might get tired during a game and not everybody can play all at once, right? Of course not. That'd be silly. So we got to give them a place to rest their weary legs because they've been running around a lot and they're all tired and everything, and they want to have themselves a candy bar while they're taking a rest. And, you know, God help us if we get between them and their candy bars. Someone threw a bag of Baby Ruths down, and these ball players are going nuts now. One of the fans tossed a bag of Baby Ruths into the ball pit, and the coach screamed, "What have you done?" As the players dogpiled around it, and a couple of guys got hurt. And then two guys started tearing at the bag, and they were having a tug of war with it. It's just like a little bag of fun-sized Baby Ruth. Why are they going nuts over it? You can buy the same thing in the store for like $5. Yeah, these guys probably don't have that much money, so they'll take whatever they can get. Yeah. And after they got done fighting over the bag, they realized it was just a bag of paydays. And there was a collective groan across the entire team once they realized what had happened. What do you mean that he got a head injury just for a bunch of paydays? Yep. And that there's the story of baseball. That's how it goes, right? I imagine it's something like that. We have fun here. Don't let anyone tell you different. Alright, so there's not going to be a lot of action going on with these. With those benches there. We're just getting a red in to really call it good. Okay, now we can go ahead and maybe whip up a little bit of something with phthalo blue and the pyrrole orange here. And we want a little bit more of the phthalo blue on here. And what I want is kind of just like this bluish gray color, right? just go in here. And we can go ahead and lift some of that, because we don't want their pants to be too dark. There, that's better. Alright, let's start thinking about all these light posts and everything, all the stuff here in the foreground, the fence posts and the light posts there. We gotta start thinking about all that. I'll tell you what I want to do. We're gonna make it more or less the same color as the pants. So I'm gonna take my flat brush, because I feel like the flat brush is gonna be able to get this job done pretty well. Alright. And I want a little bit more of the blue on there than the pyro orange. But I want this to be kind of a dark, moody blue. A dark, moody blue. Okay. Alright. Let's go ahead here. You know what? I think I'm gonna just use this brush to wet the paper. I don't want to go ahead and use this as a painting brush, because it doesn't make for a particularly good painting brush, I don't think. It's much better as a wetting brush or a wash brush. Notice what I'm doing here? Now I'm kind of just dragging the liner brush down. No real secret about that one. That's about all there is to it. Let's go ahead and lift this. I know, you're thinking again? Yeah, again. Because I got to. There's a little too much texture on that, so let's just drag the paper down. There. That's better. You gotta be careful what kind of paper you use on these kinds of things, because oftentimes what will happen is that if you use a really textured paper, it'll leave a lot of texture behind. And maybe you want that, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. Okay? Okay. We'll get right under there. Get the other side of that. That's nice. And we'll do pretty much the same thing. We'll just lift it again. Okay. Now you gotta be quick with this, or else it'll dry. So be quick. And it's gonna leave a lot of it behind. It's gonna leave a lot behind. Okay? But that's alright. That's alright. Now, we'll go down the edge of this. Just like that. And then because oftentimes what cylinders will do is they'll have that kind of color about them where you'll see that they have kind of a dark on both sides, but the degree of dark is going to be a little different because of the curvature of the cylinder. That is, well, the light post. Alright, let's go on here, and I'm going to get a little bit more phthalo blue on this one. And just lift a little bit of that. I go over it again down here. Okay. Go over it again down there. Then we lift again. Check that out. And then we do it one more time. Since this is so absorbent, we can get away with multiple glazes in pretty rapid succession here. And we'll do this one. Yeah, we'll just give it a little outline right there. Just to give it a little bit of separation from the other side of that. Excuse me. Had a frog in my throat right there. Better. Okay. Now, with that dark color, let's go ahead and take a look at some of this. What do we got? What do we got we can use? Well, I want something that's not too... Okay. Okay, I got it right here. Alright. So I'm going to go in there. Just give those guys a little something. There, it's not bad. There. Maybe. There. Yeah, let's not fiddle around with them too much more. I want to go ahead now. And with a color that's a little bluer, I'm going to get their shirts now. Okay. Now this guy, we got his shirt right here. And his hat. Okay. This guy over yonder. Let's get him in his shirt. And his cap right there. There. Whew. Alright, now let's start thinking about all these other posts over here. These are going to be more or less the same color. So let's go ahead here. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take this, hold it by the end, and swirl it around. And when I do that, it's going to bring it to a point. But I'm going to do it over here, else I'm going to get you all wet. And you didn't bring a splash guard. So, here we go. Let's take this water. Go all the way up. All the way down. That post. Okay. And you can do this with either, you can do this with the, well, actually, I might let that just go the way it is. You can do this with either a liner brush or a flat brush, whichever makes you feel more comfortable. The flat brush could help if it holds a decent amount of paint. But if you feel more comfortable using the liner brush, well, understandable. Because for a lot of fine detail work, it's a lot easier to get away with using the liner brush on this one. Okay. Is that still wet? No, it's not wet. Here. Okay. Let me go ahead and take a little bit off these edges here because it's threatening to drip. I don't want it to do that right now. I kind of want it to stay intact Now, be sure you discipline yourself so that you don't accidentally get all gung-ho and go over and try to do these things without wetting the paper first. If you feel like you want to, that's one thing, but if you're just doing it because you think you're a big shot now, well, you might want to rethink that. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this. Okay. Let's go over here and start getting these little fence things right in here. I'm definitely going to make an effort to get the rest of these real soon. I thought that red would be dry by now. We might have to get a little gung-ho here. Watch out, the fence is going to connect right there. Yep. And right at the bottom, there's going to be one more post down there. It's going to hug the ground, go across. There you go. Oops, actually I dropped my brush in my bucket. It's a tiny brush, that's why I did that. Alright, let me dry my hand on the side of this thing in my leg, and then we'll go ahead and maybe lift a little bit up here. Okay. Alright. There goes. That's fine. We'll go over here. Okay. Well, that bench is still a little wet there. Okay. There's this one. I'll lift a little bit of that. Now I am going in dry right now because I feel like I can. I'm noticing that if I apply the dry brush technique a little bit to this, like I just apply just enough paint to get a little bit of coverage but not a lot, then it starts to create a sort of rust texture, which can be pretty cool on something like this, but maybe it's fallen disuse and maybe they haven't been taking good care of it, or maybe it's not even necessarily has been taken care of. Maybe it's just old. It's just old and it's been used for years and no one's had the money to change it. Maybe they're trying to raise the money right now by playing charity baseball games and all that. Maybe that's what they're out here doing right now. They're practicing for the charity baseball game, trying to raise some money so that this old fence can get a good repair. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's really something to think about, huh? Okay, while we wait for some things over here to dry, I kind of expected some of those things to be dry already, but they're not, so c'est la vie, right? What are you going to do? Here, I'm going to take my liner brush, get some pyro orange and ultramarine, and this little mound over here in the distance is going to be this nice brown color that we make with that pyro orange and ultramarine. Now, this should be a little bit more pyro orange, because remember, you want it to be a brown color, okay? You want it to be a brown color, okay? And it goes all the way over in here. Okay. Alright, there's that. And maybe a little bit. You see how absorbent the paper is where... Oh, yeah, there's also a little hair in the brush right there. Hey, get out of there. That's better. You see how absorbent the paper is where I've been working. And if you can, lift a little bit of it. Just let a little bit of that ground show through. Looked real nice like that. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Okay, let's take some of this color that we were using, and maybe we can add... Oops. Tell you what, let me try it with my let me try it with my flat brush here, because it might be a little easier. There. There. And yeah, that's definitely a little easier, depending on what you want to do. So the flat brush is pretty good for just tapping in some edges here. And depending on how we want to go about this, how do we want to go about it, we can go ahead and get the bottom right here. There. Look at that. Look how nice that looks. Not bad. All right. Okay. Right here, maybe there's a little bit of something right there and there. And we'll... There. This is just the phthalo blue and the pyro orange. You can mix a really, really nice neutral from those two. It'll be almost jet black when you mix them together. That's how nice it is. Okay. And we'll go right in here. We're almost ready. We're almost ready to lay down the finishing touches on this. And I'm particularly excited. I hope you are too. Let's go ahead and well, this is just going to be more of the same color back here. This violet color. So let's paint this. Yeah, we'll just put some dots on there. Okay. That's all, just do that. Okay. It's off in the distance, so it doesn't need lots of color on it. That's good. Alright, now let's look for something of a quick flesh tone color. So I want the nickel azo yellow and the ultramarine, a little bit of it, just a little bit of it, okay? And we want to get some of that nickel azo yellow, quinacridone magenta, and the ultramarine, alright? Make it a little bit more yellow, add some blue in there, okay? Make sure it's a real brownish color. Not too dark, not too dark. Something right in the middle. Actually, this is pretty good. Yeah, this is real nice. Got these guys out here. There we go. And then, if we want, we can go in and take a little bit off. Alright. And add some pyro orange and phthalo blue to the other side. Right here. The shadow side, that is. Shadow side. Which is any side of where the sun doesn't really see. Okay? There. Look at that. Okay. Not bad, not bad. All right. I think we're just about getting there. Here. We can go ahead slap down that little instance of a shadow. There it goes. Okay, looking good. Looking good. All right. So what do we want to do next? Well, we could get out our flat brush here, and what I might do is take some of the phthalo blue and the Nicolazo yellow. Phthalo blue and the Nicolazo yellow. So let's do that. And maybe I'll get a little bit of the quinacridone magenta on this, okay? Just to mix it up a little bit, okay? I'll get a little bit of water. And this is going to get the fingers a little messy right now, so fair warning. But what you can do is you can split the bristles on this way up there. Just like that. And then you can go in and create little things in here. So if I want to create little specks of grass and all that, like maybe, okay, see, I can do that, and you can do that all along the edges. Okay, oopsie daisies. I get a little bit of, did I get a little spot on my painting? It's okay. It's okay. There. Alright. And we'll just add a little bit of, little hints of value over on the edges here. Okay. Yeah. That's all there is to that. Maybe a little bit up here too. Okay. Okay. Looking good. Okay. That's good. That's good. And I don't think I want to do anything with the rest of this out here. No. That's too much detail. Or is it? I don't know. I'm going to leave it alone. I want to do one more thing before I head out today. I'll tell you what it is. I'm going to take the flat brush again. Ooh. That was too green. Here. Well, I can't seem to get this brush clean. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the edge of that. I'm just going to tap this here. Well, make sure the brush is nice and flat. Nice and flat. And okay. There it goes. Okay. Now, if it's still wet, you know what we can do? Well, you guessed it. There it goes. We're just going to take some of that off so we can still see what's going on. Okay. And keep doing all these edges like this. Just like that. Okay, just like that. Alright. Quick and easy way to do little fences like this. If you ever have to paint a fence for any reason, and sometimes you might have to, who knows? Who knows? But this is one of the easiest ways I can think of to do it. To just tap it in with your flat brush. That's all we're doing. We're just using the edge of this. We're just using the edge. And you don't even have to get it all. You can leave a few things blank too. You just want to leave like a ghost of what you were painting. You can give it a friendly suggestion. You don't have to do the whole thing. You don't have to get all the information in there. Okay? Now look, I'm going to tap that, and I'm going to lift it. Okay? And then you can see a ghost of what I was doing, but you can also see a lot of information in the background still. That's what we want. We don't want to cover everything up. These guys aren't playing ball just for show. They want to be able to, they want you to see what they're doing. They want to put on a show for you. They're acting like tough guys with their chew and their bubble gum. Well, they're getting ready to play ball, but really they just want a big bag of Baby Ruths. That's all they want. They'll take payment in Baby Ruths, thank you. Heck yeah, baby. Alright. There's going to be a little something down here, but not a lot. Okay. And notice how I just put like little suggestions of grass there. I didn't cake on the grass or anything. That's what you want to do. You just want to let us know, yeah, this is grass. Suggestions are a good way to imply that there's more detail than there really is. Like if you paint every blade of grass, you're just putting yourself through a lot of grief for not a lot of payoff. But if you leave some things ill-defined, some things are a little bit more defined. Oops. Okay. You know, sometimes you make a mistake. I just made a mistake there. That's all good. And, you know, of course, after you make a mistake, I mean, good luck lifting it. Okay. Just do your best. That's all I can say. Okay. In these tight areas like this, you want to use the corner of the brush. If you're trying to use, like the entire flat brush while you're doing this little nooks right here, it's not going to go that well. It's gonna hurt. Okay. There's also so much value there that you're probably not going to be able to see the fence real well anyway, but where the value is a little lighter, like up here, it's going to be real noticeable. And it's really going to make that piece stand out. Here. There it goes. Okay. Looking good, looking good. Ooh, I got one more thing I can paint before I head out today, which is just going to be, it's just going to be a little shadow, so it's not going to be too exciting. But it's something I just want to throw in there before I peace out for today. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Take a little bit of the color that we made right here. This is just I think this is just the flesh tone color that we used. This is a little bit of quinacridone magenta, nickel azure yellow, ultramarine, and we got all this information right here, right under these benches, these shadows. And we got to get that shadow in there. Because we got to ground these things, right? Yeah, I know. You got to ground them, else they're going to look like they're floating. That's no good. There. That goes. Okay. How do these guys look, do you think? Yeah, I think this this really turned out to be a pretty nice painting. Pretty nice little painting. So let's go ahead now. They're ready for their baseball game, and they're giving me the signal now. That's time to go. So let's go ahead and get into the signature. I don't think I have anything else I want to add at the 11th hour here, for once. You know how many times I've done that. I like to do that. No joke. Yeah, I'm going to go into a color that we haven't really used called Pyro Red. It's a real thick red color, but it's great for signatures. Okay, and then I'm just going to put my initials right here. Yes. Okay. That's all there is to it. When you sign your name, you can use your initials, you can use your full name, your first name, your last name, completely different name. You can do whatever you want to do, just to let people know that it's you. But I really hope you enjoyed this painting. I had a lot of fun painting it, and I think that it's going to give you a lot of experience doing a lot of different things, like using your liner brush and, well, when in wet painting, of course, using the sponge. We used a lot of techniques on this. My little flat brush technique, too. Ooh. Boy, we used a lot of different techniques on this one, so there's a lot to learn from it. I hope you got a lot from it. Anyway, it's time for me to head out, so until next time, with love from me to you, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.